Hi, everybody, and most importantly, hello, Peggy Roshi. Thank you so much for joining us. What a delight and an honor for us. I just want to very briefly sort of introduce Peggy Sheehan Roshi to you all. We've met a handful of times, but I think it's fair to say we don't know each other terribly well, but we know a number of people in common very well, not least Dane and Henry Roshi. Peggy is the co-spiritual director at the Denver Zen Center, Zen Center Denver, more correctly, and has been that for the last 10 years. And I'll just tell you a little bit about that. It's a wonderful community there, growing, and it actually recently had a new Zen Center built in the heart of Denver, which was finished just a little before COVID sort of struck and shut things down. And since then, they've been growing via the online format and are now running hybrid events, including sessions. And Peggy feels that they're still sort of adapting and changing with circumstances, and we're all familiar with that. So glad to hear we're kind of in the same boat. The center also offers a number of mindfulness programs and classes, which are just started to come back in live format, and I think in person as well as online. And it's part of the mission of the center to offer a place of refuge to all people interested in the core principles and practices of Buddhism. Peggy has taught mindfulness-based stress reduction for 15 years. Through Kaiser Health, or for Kaiser Health, but is now focusing on these programs more at the center itself. Peggy has also been a physician, a pediatrician, for 35 years. And it's sort of her life has really been about sort of these two loves and responsibilities, health, deep healthcare, and care of the soul, or whatever it is that we offer in Zen and in mindfulness. I wanted to just say a word about Dane and Henry Roshi, who was Peggy's teacher for many years. He's a remarkable guy who I had the pleasure of spending some time with a few times, actually, particularly up at his remarkable sort of lonely, lovely place up in the high mountains of Colorado near Twin Lakes, I think it's called, which is sort of north of Salida and Buena Vista, very, very high up, not sort of a little below, actually, I can't remember the name of it now, but the highest mountain, I think, in Colorado. It's a very beautiful place. And he, I believe, founded the original Zen Center of Denver. And we are actually rather close in the Dharma, so to speak, because Dane and Henry Roshi studied both with Philip Kapleau and with Robert Aitken Roshi, who both of whom trained in Sambo Zen earlier in their lives in Japan, and were both, well, Aitken Roshi was authorized and by Yamada Koan Roshi to teach. And so we're very close, actually. You know, we, both Valerie and I are sort of under the same sort of Dharma bloodlines, so to speak, as Peggy. I mean, we're all one anyway, but it's nice to see these little particular lineages and genealogies that really spread so beautifully, and but also remain very close. So Peggy, thank you very much for coming. I'm very grateful indeed, and I think we all are. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Henry. Can everybody hear me? Yes? Okay, hang on a minute. Mute myself. Well, hello, everyone. And again, thank you very much, Henry. It really is truly an honor to be with you. I did one of my first session at Mountain Cloud 30 years ago. And I'm so happy that there is such a vibrant and wonderful community caring for it. And it's such a very special place. And I could feel you all tonight, and I get a little nervous about these things, so I really appreciated your energy here tonight. I wanted to say that this talk is not specifically addressing the events of this week, but of course they are here with us. And I don't expect that any of us can be still for a few moments without touching grief. And though this talk is not specific, anytime words such as this are offered, I believe the intent, if there is an intent, is always towards healing our deepest wounds and divisions. So I thought I would share with you a recent talk on a koan. As you know, in our Zen tradition, we quite often investigate a koan, a wonderfully unusual and rich aspect of our ancestry. And I'm very grateful that Henry is doing what he can to invigorate this tradition. Maezumi Roshi has said that we don't study koans, we use koans to investigate our life. And yes, I agree. Koans have been a lifelong practice for me, and they are my ongoing practice. And part of that is to enter them anew and try to share something about that. So this is case number three in the Wu Man koan. And the case reads, the case is titled, Chuchi raises a finger. He also is known as Gutei. I'll use his Chinese name. And the case reads, whenever he was asked about Zen, Master Chuchi simply stuck up one finger. One day, a visitor asked Chuchi's young attendant, what has Master preached? The boy raised a finger. Hearing of this, Chuchi cut off the boy's finger with a knife. As the boy ran screaming from the room with pain, Chuchi called to him. When he turned his head, Chuchi stuck up one finger. The boy was suddenly enlightened. When Chuchi was about to die, he said to his assembled monks, I received this one finger Zen from Tianlung. I used it all my life, but could not exhaust it. With this, he entered into his eternal rest. And now, Master Wu Men writes a commentary and a verse for each case, and his commentary on this case reads, the enlightenment of Chuchi and the boy has nothing to do with a finger. If you can realize this, then Tianlung, Chuchi, the boy, and yourself are all run through with a single skewer. And his verse or poem, Tianlung made a fool of Chuchi, who cut the boy with a sharp knife. Just as the mountain deity raised his hand, and lo, without effort, the myriad piled mountain was split into two. Okay. So our koan collection is quite large. And for me, there's a funny process at times of choosing a koan to explore. How it presents itself is interesting. Often it's seemingly random. Some teachers go in order or use a particular book or follow an ancestor. Well, my recollection of this case was jogged by my work as a pediatrician. I have the great delight of getting to see babies and watch them grow. My age range is newborns up to 19 to 20-year-olds. But lately I've been seeing a string of 9-month-old to 1-year-old, sort of 9-month to 1-year-old. It often happens that way. One of the most important developmental milestones at this time is this. It just starts to show up. These little ones find this, and then over the next 6 to 9 months, they start to use it. Then comes pointing at. They point at themselves, at their noses, their tummies, their ears, their mommies, their daddies. They start to point at things around them. And then they start using it to get their parents to respond or to get them something. It's really delightful to watch. And quite a sophisticated progression of communication and social interaction. So Master Chuchi is also inviting us to enter, to mature and grow, to communicate, participate, to see what's what, to heal, and to love. All in this. This one teaching. Whenever he was asked about it, Zen Master Chuchi simply stuck up one finger. What is Zen? One finger. What is Buddha? One finger. What is your original face? One finger. What are we doing here? One finger. I wish I had his eloquence. Yet, we do come to practice together and listen to such a talk that we may intimately know this one finger. Not a finger that's pointing at something, but rather one that includes everything. Not a single thing is left out. Not rioters or dictators, not the sickness of gun violence, not innocent children or a grieving planet, not anger, not fear, frustration or disappointment, not acts of courage or acts of cowardice, not old, young, happy, sad, green or blue. In fact, it wipes out self and other, me and them, right and wrong, praise and blame. It is not a finger pointing at the moon. It is the moon itself and is the basis for compassion, right conduct, speech, and thought. And this is manifested in our daily life and our daily practice of Zazen in the simplest and most straightforward of ways. In sitting practice, wherever thoughts, memories, opinions, worries, or chatter arise and carry you away, we simply return to this sitting, to the fingers in your lap, the thumbs touching lightly, to move. This. Not so different in your moment-to-moment activity when you're not sitting on the mat. Where is this one finger now and now as you drink your tea, brush your teeth, listen to the news, type an email? Where is it when showering, walking, lovemaking, arguing, weeping? Can you see it? Hear it? Smell it? Taste it? Touch it? Don't underestimate the opportunity always presenting itself. In any instant, you can drop the habit force that colors or intrudes. Invite that to recede, and the whole world, the universe of one finger, rushes in. Stay with just one, just this breath, or move, just sitting. And you present this one finger in your upright spine, in your breath, filling up and letting go. And just listening, sitting, and going about each activity of your day. Sishin Rick wrote this. He said, "Don't think that finger represents something. That finger penetrates the depths of the ocean and beyond the Milky Way. It penetrates to your best kept secrets, and yet it hides nothing. It reveals Tenryu's guts and Gutei's guts and the boy attendant's guts and your guts. So tell me, how do you present that one finger?" One day, a visitor asked Chu Chi's young attendant what his master preached. The boy raised a finger. Hearing of this, Chu Chi cut off the boy's finger with a knife. As the boy ran from the room screaming with pain, Chu Chi called to him. When he turned his head, Chu Chi stuck up one finger, and the boy was suddenly enlightened. Oh, who might you relate to in this part of the story? The visitor wondering about the master and what he teaches? Just wondering about this tradition, perhaps interested to know if it would resonate for him or her? Well, I've been there. Perhaps you are sitting here today, new to practice, and wondering, what the heck is the teaching here? Well, it's this. How about the boy attendant who rather innocently demonstrates what he has seen? Can we relate to him? Did he really go so wrong? Was it that offensive to be like his teacher? Not that we don't see the problem with imitation. It is a problem, a big problem these days on a whole new level, imitating what we see or hear. In my office, it breaks my heart to see young people comparing, imitating, only wanting to be like someone on YouTube or Snapchat, rather than being themselves, knowing themselves, touching the joy of being them in the middle of their life, and investing in that journey. Now, there is a kind of imitation, or shall we say, receiving inspiration from others that it's not unhealthy. There are a lot of teachers that I admire, and some I'd even like to be like. It's good to have role models. Important. We are receiving this inspiration today from one another. But let's not miss the point. An imitation of food will not satisfy hunger. So here comes the real challenge. Can you relate to Chu-Chi? Can you? Can you cut it off? Cut off the boy's finger. We'll start with cutting off the mind road. Cut it off and find out. Try it right now. Do it again and again. No need to make it an act of violence. You can wield Manjusri's sword at any moment. Cut it. Cut through and through. And at such a moment, you might run from the room screaming or laughing. Just this breath. Only move. Whole body sitting. The sharpest knife. The sharpest knife. Once, as the Tenzo for a sesshin, I cut off the tip of my finger with the sharp knife. I remember getting the jisha to help me finish the meal. I remember going to Doksan with a bloody bandage because it wouldn't stop bleeding. And I'd love to say to you that I went into the room holding my finger up in delight. Here it is, here it is. But not yet. But you never know. You just never know if you give yourself completely to whatever is right in front of you. When Chu-Chi was about to die, he said to his assembled monks, I received this one finger Zen from Tianlung. I used it all my life, but couldn't exhaust it. With this, he entered into his eternal rest. We lost our dear, old, intensely wonderful Black Labrador named Maya this year. She had a walk every morning of her life, mostly. In the last few years, it was limited, pretty much the same walk because she was old. And after making it to 14, she had one, maybe two legs that worked well enough. She could only make it about 6 or 7 blocks. And we would do that same walk. I cannot tell you how excited she was to go out in the mornings. That walk was never, could never be exhausted. How could it be? So this case also appears in the Hekigan Roku. It's case number 19, and there's a pointer for this case that reads, when one speck of dust arises, the great earth is contained therein. When a single flower blooms, the world arises. But before the speck of dust is raised, before the flower opens, how will you set eyes on it? Therefore, it is said, it's like cutting a skein of thread. When one strand is cut, all are cut. It's like dyeing a skein of thread. When one strand is dyed, all are dyed. This very moment, you should take all complications and cut them off. Bring out your own family jewels and respond everywhere, high and low, before and after, without missing. Each and every one will fully manifest. If you are not like this, look into this case. So Wumen's commentary on this. The enlightenment of Chu Chi in the boy has nothing to do with a finger. If you can realize this, then Tien Lung, Chu Chi, the boy, and yourself are all run through with a single skewer. Aiken Roshi made this comment. Actually, you are all already run through, but you must know that steel for yourself. Yes, we must. That is why we give ourselves to an evening of practice such as this, and why we stay oriented and honest in the way of practice. The truth, the way, is not an idea or ideal. It is visceral, and it is as tangible as the blade of a knife, a skewer. That steel can feel cold and sharp. The crisp morning breeze on your face as a warm tear drips from your eye and burns down your cheek. The backward screech of the dump truck piercing your ears. The searing head pain of a migraine, or the gut-punching, heart-rending images of war and strife, of bombings and shootings. It might feel soft and warm, the blood oozing from the wound, the sweet touch of your puppy or kitten's fur, or the cooing infant's soft bald head. The sunlight passing in gentle beams through your window. It might be dark. The wrenching heaviness of grief or loss, or a sadness so deep one can barely move. It might be bright and shimmery, the knife blade chopping red peppers or yellow daisies. Perhaps falling snow, dripping rain, or a crystal clear swimming pool. Each and all inviting nothing less than total commitment. Jumping in, whole body, mind skewered. And now Wumen's verse. Tien Lung made a fool of Chu Chi, who cut the boy with a sharp knife. Just as the mountain deity raised his head, and lo, without effort, the myriad piled mountain was split into two. So I didn't tell you the story of Tien Lung and Chu Chi. Chu Chi lived around the 9th century and was doing solitary hermitage practice, not uncommon for the time. he was visited by a nun who challenged him and asked him to give a true phrase, no imitation. And he couldn't. Well, distraught, he determined to set out to find a teacher and engage, but had a dream that one was coming to him. Within a few days, Qianlong arrived. Chuchi relayed the story of his visitor, and Qianlong held up his finger. And lo, the myriad piled mountain of Master Chuchi was split in two, or one, or just split, completely split. This is the kind of fool we'd all like to be. And now truly though, isn't this whole story quite ridiculous? And yet, the mountain deity, Chuchi, the boy, are closer than your nose, your ears, your tummy, and your toes. And together, with all beings, we realize the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. I think we all can clearly feel what a beautiful talk, what a beautiful gift to this Sangha. Thank you, thank you. Peggy Roshi, I don't know whether you're open to having any Sangha members, if they are interested, to ask you a question. Would you be okay with that? It's fine either way. Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. So if anybody would like to, ask something of Peggy Roshi while she's here, please, probably best to put up your hand in the reactions button, and then that'll bring you to the top of the list, and we could hear it. Or maybe if you just want to make a comment, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Let's see. I might just sort of ask something or comment. I don't know I'm wondering. I've often wondered about the boy, and the knife and the finger being cut off, and it's not that element isn't in the Blue Cliff Record version, as you surely know. I'm just trying to remember if it's in the Book of Serenity as well. If it is, I think it doesn't. It also doesn't have that story, and I just wonder how sort of comfortable you are with that, And I like the way you take it as a sort of beautiful challenge in a sense, or just invitation. Where's Chuchi at when he does that? I think I've certainly taken it that way myself as well, but I do also wonder whether. In a way, it's a form of crazy wisdom, I think, to do something like that. And but it is also an act of violence. Do we need it really? I don't know. I don't really have a firm view on it. I'm just curious about it. If you do.
I do think these are things like the folklore of even some of the children's tales of, amazing things, but they're taken in the spirit that they are. It's in a way, it's like, Yunmend, his leg was broken when the door slammed, and he had an awakening. And I do know plenty of people that have trouble with non-chuan kills the cat. So I guess these are always things to work with. I think, are they folklore? Are they what really happened? I try to enter there, though. I remember, Bodhidharma, Waco had cut off his arm in the snow, and I think we, in some way, do have to find some aspect within ourselves, that ability to, and it's real. So I don't know. Thank you.
I quite agree. There's some sort of hint, I think, that, for example, with the story with Yunmen, it's not mentioned at all in the earliest records of Yunmen. It sort of gradually comes in. First he got his foot broken, and then he got his leg broken. It sort of amplifies through the Sung dynasty. I think they ramped it up, but in the earliest mentions of Yunmen, there's simply no mention of it. Although there is of his encounters with whatever he was called, but I've just forgotten his name. Whoever it was, the master who wouldn't see people and slammed the door on them.
Right. Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's very interesting, and I quite agree with you. There's obviously an opportunity there to realize something. What is actually cut,
Yeah. Yeah. I see a hand here. Sandra?
See if you can unmute. I'm trying to do that.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I had sent you a message that asking, are we so I think we are talking about what sees this question as awareness and consciousness. Is this so? So awareness brings me to understanding the one finger as totally oneness with all that is. And the consciousness going through those positions of mind that would question even that.
Could you say that last part again?
So I see awareness as oneness of all that is, and the one finger saying, this is all there is, only one mind, only one. And the consciousness with their interpretations of thought would then ask these other questions. Is this real? Is this, manufactured? Do we have a fairy tale here? Going straight to the finger.
I think you have at least have captured something that, yes, straight to the finger. What about it? Yeah. Yeah, let's go straight to the finger. Like I said, I didn't, other than I babbled for a while, I didn't have much else to add to Chu Chi's teaching. And I think, I think you're getting at that.
Thank you. And thank you for your incredible, inspiring talk to stay with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peggy, you may have, I wouldn't say you babbled at all. you brought it to life for us in a most beautiful way.
Thank you. Oh,
Yeah, I just have sort of an extraneous comment. I live in Jemez Springs, and Maezumi Roshi is presently residing here. And I've been told that he's doing very, very well.
yes, thank you for saying that. It's true. Danon has moved from the top of the mountain to Jemez Springs. He has some health things, and so we're very also glad that he is he's still teaching there and involved. And yeah, I'm so glad he's there. I didn't know you lived there. I think there's a question here in the, Sarah Klingenstein has a question here. She says, why isn't Chu Chi's raising a finger in imitation? Good question. He got it from his teacher, didn't he? And why is it only when the boy turns around and sees Chu Chi's finger, rather than when he loses his finger, that he comes to understand? Yeah. That is a really important place for all of us, actually. That is the heart of the koan in one way. Why isn't Chu Chi's raising a finger in imitation? If you're going to demonstrate this, you have to demonstrate it in no imitation. Comes like this, and then there's just Chu Chi and you and Chen Moon all run through with a single skewer, in essence. So, and the part about why is that it only when the boy turns around and sees the finger, well, that's the part that is the great fun and mystery of, you get to a point and you're ripe and something happens, and, and it could be anything. But in this boy's case, it was, so, but probably had to be going, at the same time, where it's just that absolute presence, ripeness of the moment that encouraged that opening for him. I don't know, Henry, if you have something to say on that, but.
No, I totally agree. I mean, so like when Daishan awakens with the blowing out of the lamp, he's probably seen 5,000 lamps blown out before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although perhaps he's never really seen it,
Yeah.
But why then?
Why then?
If we knew that, we save ourselves a lot of trouble.
That's right.
Irene.
Yeah.
Irene, go ahead, Irene.
Okay, there I'm unmuted. Thank you so much. Thank you. I feel awakened to an aspect of koans that I really hadn't thought of before. Because we do think of the violence, And it feels so, well, I think I used to actually think not long ago, you know, like, well, that violence was like some kind of old Japanese habit or something. You know what I'm saying? Like it was rough out there, you know, and they had to really make a statement or something. That's what I used to think. But when you talked about it tonight, I thought about that what happened really is the boy got an opportunity to be awakened. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity.
Yeah.
But it's really hard because, you know, right now the world is so dark. So then one feels very dark. And it just does. And I've been kind of, you know, reaching out for the last few days, just, you know, doing Dharma talks and just looking for a way to not, you know, dwell and also get really angry, you know. So anyway, I really feel like that was that was a real treasure that you gave tonight. Because then suddenly I realized, okay, he cut off his arm, you know, okay, the foot, you know, is broken, and on and on. And, you know, the person is hit with a stick. And then, but then my favorite is, you know, the flower. Because I'm, you know, I'm kind of a flower power child, you know, flower child. So anyway, I really appreciate that what you've said is that it's an opportunity to awaken. Thanks.
Thank you. It's what the world needs. So let's all do it.
Peggy Roshi, I want to say great thanks to you. I so hope this can happen again.
Thank you,
It's
Henry.
very, very precious for us. Thank you very, very much. It's lovely, you know, really is lovely to have your deep perspective coming to our Sangha. Really appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.